to get Wi-Fi. Hey, you guys, we are. So I think that the cool people don't say I just jumped on. I just want to hop on. Nobody's ever hopped on. Why do we say that? There's no hopping. There's no jumping. Jumping would be like exercise. So let your friends know that we're here. First one in is the winner. It says swipe to see real-time performance, and the first one is Shavante Thomas is the winner. What has she won, Cindy? A lifetime supply of greatness and goodness. Da-da-da. So.
Now that is all that is needed in this world.
Now, you guys, I'm doing a new light setup, so I'm going to try not to do that. So I'm not, like, circling my eyes with that the whole time. So I'm going to try to do this, so I'm not doing that, right? Yes. I am in the great state of, what state am I in? Louisiana, where if I stayed here any longer, I'd weigh 500 pounds. My gosh, their food is so good. I had the muffalata, I had the Pizza Express, and I had a fruit pizza pie, which had how much fruit in it? Say it with me. None. The only vegetables that I eat are sour cream and onion chips. So, I do want to tell you guys, and you guys keep putting in the chat, I know we have the great Rachel's going to be in the chat, some of our other friends, but we have a live 2-day virtual coming up, which, I don't do those very often. So November 2nd and 3rd, November 2nd and 3rd, November 2nd and 3rd, a live 2-day virtual, 9 to 5, working 9 to 5. Oh, there's Kat. She's at the football game. So November 2nd and 3rd will be the live 2-day virtual. It'll be the only one this year. The next one is not until, the next one will actually be, it'll be another thing. So that's the live virtual for the entire United States, of the globe, of the world, of, I was going to say Antarctica, but probably not. I don't know. Are people in Antarctica having IEP meetings? Did you guys have IEP meetings today? Did you have... Okay, can I just tell you what happened? This will be between us. I was in a meeting today. I won't tell you where. ISD. And they said they couldn't send me a Zoom link. Are you ready? Are you ready? Because the building was too old. Stop. So when you people ask me what my credentials are, you know what they are? I'm sane in the membrane. What did you just say? The building's too old to send a Zoom link? Ooh. Anyway, but I was just as amazing via the cellular phone. All right, enough about me, more about me. I mean, more about y'all. Y'all. Okay, Cynthia.
Yes, ma'am.
We're ready.
Okay. Here we go. Boss, when is a good time to ask for a BIP?
When there are behaviors that are not properly served solely by the staff.
Fantastic. How does a student receive speech?
So, I mean, that's going to be laid out in the schedule of services page. So we have, a need that's identified in the present levels because we had a great evaluation. Remember, speech has 9 areas. That's a training for another day. So when we ask for speech, we're going to ask for a speech and language evaluation to include pragmatic, and we're going to identify those needs in the present levels. We're going to have IEP goals, and then we're going to decide on a combination of things that they might need. They might need direct services one-on-one. They might need direct services in a group. They might need direct services in a group pull-out. They might need direct services in a group inside of the classroom. So let's say that your kiddo's in ECSC. Everybody in that setting has to have a speech impairment, so often they push in. And then you might have also consult minutes so that the speech pathologist can support the staff members.
Do you think that speech affects a student's reading comprehension?
I think it's all connected, right? Your speech is literally linked to how you read and the rate at which you read, the prosody, the fluency, the cadence. Absolutely.
I absolutely love the boss. Where should I look to apply to be a special education or autism advocate?
Oh, so, I mean, you don't have to apply anywhere. If you love children, congratulations, you're in. And so we have an amazing 2-day training that is life-changing and equipping so that you guys can go out there and be special education advocates. We have a live 2-day virtual coming up Saturday and Sunday, November 2nd and 3rd. At any time you have on demand, and you can do that at your pace.
And it's fantastic. I have a daughter who has ASD, ADHD, and got a referral for her behaviors on the playground. What does this mean for her record or anything at all?
Okay, can we just talk about the record? There's no record, right? They told us that they told me in 1971 I had a record. Right? There's no record. We capture needs of children. So if a child has a behavior that's a characteristic or directly linked to their disability, then it's our job to identify it, support it with an IEP goal to teach a skill to replace that behavior, and then provide service minutes. But the whole it's going in your record, ugh. Raise your hand, everybody this month. Who's asked for your record? Anybody? Anybody? Forget about it. There's no record. It's propaganda, isn't it? It's special ed propaganda.
Yes. How can an LEA not be certified in special education?
It's not a requirement. Wah, wah. Just like an advocate doesn't have to be certified in special education. You can be good at your job and have different certifications. We've met lots of people who have their doctorate in special ed and you can't tell. And then I've met amazing people that are a minimum wage paid para who've changed the lives of thousands of kids. So it's not about what class you took and what you participated in. It's about what you took on, learned, and applied it properly for kids with disabilities.
Awesome.
Are we just loving the lighting? Can we just talk about the lighting, guys? I don't have TikTok Shop. I should have TikTok Shop. But you guys, I bought this. I mean, what this word? Just like $14 on the TikTok Shop. It's holding my thing of the deal of the thing, and it has lighting. And I think you should get it. I don't have a link. And look, it has a remote. So $14, make you holler. Screenshot. All right, there. I've had way too much caffeine today.
Screenshot it.
Yeah.
And it makes you look very pink with your jacket. Absolutely.
I love pink.
Oh, and your lipstick looks really good with that light as well.
It's number 180 L'Oreal. Number 180 L'Oreal.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, here we go. If we move states, can the new school use the old state's BIP, or do they need a new one?
So, I mean, if the behaviors are the same, I wouldn't think a child being in a different school building would change the behaviors that much. But certainly when you move districts, city, counties, or state, the school district receiving your student is charged with using those 30 school days to see if they need updated testing, formal or informal, to make sure they're properly serving that kiddo. So you certainly could look if there's any other needs. Thanks, you guys, for the gifts.
So many hearts going up.
So many hearts. I like it, Picasso.
Yes. How do I get music therapy in a district that doesn't have a music therapist?
So, did I just laugh? So, music therapy is a related service under IDEA. So, if they don't have a music therapist, I always say that they can do it privately. They really like that answer, especially in Kentucky. Did I say that? Did that just slip out? Yeah. It's amazing when they say we don't have it, and I say you can do it privately. They say, okay. Yeah. You got to gently push, like a 3-year-old, you got to gently push those boundaries. Gently.
How does an IEP work with homeschooling?
So it doesn't. An IEP is an individualized education program required by states that receive federal grant money. So usually public schools, charter schools. If you choose to homeschool your child, which is completely your right, and if that's your decision as a family, God bless you. But the school district doesn't have any legal onus to provide special education and related service. That being said, almost always, not always, because nothing is always, most schools will provide some measure of the related services, but you would have to bring your child to the school during those instructional hours.
Okay. My daughter has music therapy on her IEP, but the district says they're removing it. What can I do to stop that?
That's when you pull out the pool noodle. No, we're not removing it. So you got music therapy the same way you don't got music therapy. We tested to see if you had a need for special education or related services, and she met eligibility for music therapy. So when we decide that she doesn't need music therapy, the appropriate thing to do is to test her out. Hold on, I have a surprise guest. Come here. There's 233 people that want to see you. Hurry up. We have a guest speaker tonight. Hurry. So, can you tell them your name? What is your name, sir? Tell them. Levi. And are you in a public school, federally funded?
No.
Are you in elementary school?
Yes.
Are you making good choices?
Uh-huh.
Do you always make good choices for Miss Pino?
Yeah.
Do you always earn your sticker? Does your friend Jason always earn his sticker? No. He's working on his behavior intervention plan. Say, well, it's nice to meet y'all. Okay, we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.
When you're done doing those people, I can come see you.
Yeah. When I'm done doing these people, I can come see you. Yes. That was his debut. Yeah. He should have his own TikTok channel. Yeah.
Absolutely.
For 15 minutes this morning, he's like, Gigi, listen, I'll stay in my room today. You have your meetings. I'll be very quiet. No, Karen Jr., you're going to school. Okay.
That's fantastic. Hey, what are some good interventions for a student who is ED and has a tendency to throw items when he's mad?
So the intervention is going to be based upon what we think the function of the behavior is, right? And so I sat in a meeting today with some banana heads, but the lady that did the behavior intervention plan was amazing. Dr. I can't remember what her name was, but she was very, very, very good. And so there's 4 functions of a behavior, right? They're all communication. We have to first figure out the root of it. Otherwise, we're trying to modify something else. I think it's very important for kids that have behavior presentations, characteristics, or needs that we don't use words like defy, willful, purposeful. A disability is not a choice, and it's not a motivation issue. I had an IEP the other day, and somebody said if he was motivated, no, this is not a football game. He has a disability. So we figure out the disability. We try to do our best to figure out the function of that behavior, and then we write a plan around that. But an emotional disability is so broad. It can go anything from a tic disorder to schizophrenia to severe depression to children hurting themselves. So you really want to find out what the function is so we can serve it properly.
Okay. How do you make up an entire quarter of missing minutes?
You don't. Yeah. So let's talk about compensatory time. So compensatory time, which is not in the federal law or state statute, but is talked about in case law, right? When a hearing officer, a fact finder, a 2-tiered judge makes a decision to, it's to return the student back to where they would have been had the violation not occurred, right? So we don't ask for, I don't ask for compensatory time minute for minute. I'm not going to make the child do the time because the adults didn't do their job, but we want to find an amount of time that will be meaningful, right? We're always looking at 2 things, meaningful benefit and harmful effect, and we'll give them some really added benefit. So almost always, I ask for the compensatory time to be from a certified special educator that's a private tutor, if the school is unwilling to, what I call, fold it into the instructional day.
Great. Can general education teachers modify curriculum, or can only SPED teachers?
So special educators, there's lots of different special educators, right? There are related service providers, instructional service providers, behavioral specialists, special education teachers. Those persons are qualified to produce the modification for the learner expectation. That was a rap, wasn't it? Modification, expectation.
That was fantastic. Okay, there we go. How long does a district have to do an evaluation after I request one for my child?
So the evaluation timeline is not attached to your request. It's attached to the day that you sign notice and consent. So let's say that Cindy rolls in and she sees somebody at the pumpkin patch and she says, "Hey, Bob, I'd like an evaluation for Terry." And he goes, "No problem." That's not notice and consent. So once the school grants it, they have 2 choices, right? They can grant your request or deny it. Of course, if they were prudent, they would probably grant it. The law just says in a reasonable time that you sign notice and consent. So when I ask for testing, I include that in my ask because I like simple, because I am simple. This is my formal request for Billy Bob to have special education testing, areas of suspected disability or learning and attention issues. We look forward to coming in and signing a notice and consent because the timeline doesn't start till you sign notice and consent. And so depending on where you are in the United States, 30, 45, or 60 school days.
Awesome. When should speech start if your student has an IEP for them? It's the 2nd month of school and nothing has started.
Well, certainly we're not required to have speech the first week of school or the last week of school, right? We want to get our cherubs in there, and then we want to get our cherubs to enjoy field day and the end of school. But 2 months is a problem. It's a big problem. So I would say Dear school district, my child's being denied their related services. Can you let me know how those minutes will be made up?
Okay, we have a clarification. With the making up of minutes for the quarter, I believe it was asked by a teacher, an educator, and she said her students had no services while she was out for the entire quarter due to her having a car accident.
So the truth is, if the school wants to make that up, that's fantastic. I don't find that to be my experience. I find my experience is when a family knows about it and they are able to represent themselves or they have representation, that we make up those hours. But if I missed a whole quarter, there's no way a little kiddo, a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old, can go back and make up all of that time. We try to return the time in a way that's meaningful. And I'm so sorry you had an accident. I hope you're doing good now.
Yay. Excuse me. What can a school do if there are behaviors beyond what they can manage? It's at the elementary level.
So, schools have limitations, right? They're not, they're schools, right? And so I sat in a meeting today and we were asking for out-of-district placement. So there are kiddos that have behavior, emotional, psychiatric, medical needs that cannot be served correctly in a public school setting. So I have clients that have participated in the juvenile justice system. I have had clients that have participated in live-in psychiatric units. I have had students that have participated in residential care at a minimum of 18 months, and I've had students who have participated in out-of-district day placement. So those are options when we have exhausted all the options to provide them FAPE at the campus.
Okay. How do you feel about dual certified teachers teaching in an inclusion classroom? One teacher and one TA.
One TA, a teacher's assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
a para or a special educator. So a teacher's assistant is not necessarily a special educator. So there's lots of different models, right? So we have the general education teacher. We have in-class support person who is a support person but not a certified special educator. We have the co-teach model, which is a requirement that the general education teacher and the special education teacher are there for the totality of the block. So, I'm on board with anybody that can appropriately serve the population in that classroom, right? A teacher's assistant is amazing, but if they are not a special educator, they can only implement what they're doing under the watchful eye and supervision of a certified special educator who has worked with every student in that class that has an IEP.
The special ed director is telling me the speech pathologist will be writing my son's IEP. Is this right?
If he's a speech-only student, yes.
Excellent. Do you know any advocates who work with low-income families?
So, our advocates work with all sorts of people. If you're indicating advocates that work with parents that aren't able to invest in paying for an advocate, those aren't any of our team members. We're certainly cognizant of that. And we understand it's an investment, but it's what we do for a living. There are some, state and federal agencies, like in Texas, there's Side by Side Parent, there's PRN, Parent Resource Network. Those are great resources that sort of equip you and provide webinars and modules. We just spoke at one a couple weeks ago. I spoke at one in April. We love them, how they serve families. There's also Disability Rights of America. They pick up clients and cases with specificity, meaning they might pick up a Hispanic family with a single mother. They have parameters around the types of families that they have to serve annually. So that's something you might look into.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
This question has been asked 27 times. Can you give us the proper chain of command when it comes to address a problem?
Me. Welcome to your commander. You just sit over there, you be his parent, and I'll be his advocate. It just depends, right? Sometimes I can just get, it's not about a chain of command. I believe, I might have been wrong today in a school district, but I really believe in my heart that there's somebody in your school district that will really listen to your concern and do their best to resolve it. I really believe that. Sometimes that doesn't occur, and then we show up and do a press conference. I think that parents very easily, and I was one of them, get weary in the process. It's unfortunate that some schools' modality is just to wear down the parents. And I've done this for 28 years. I do know what I'm talking about. Whether I'm bona fide, certified, glorified, or, credentialed, I know what I'm talking about in special education. And that is such a poor model of leadership in an entity that's supposed to serve children and families. But I do believe that if you have an area of need, that you need to go up respectfully in order, especially if you're going to have to file a state or federal complaint, because they're going to ask you if you have, and these are legalese, have you exhausted all of your remedies? I want to say, am I exhausted, right? And so, the sheriff of your little town is the principal. So if I can't get it worked out with the IEP facilitator or the diagnostician, I'm certainly going to go to them. And then after that, I'm going to go to the director of special education. After that, I'm going to go to the director of education. After that, I'm going to call the secretary for the superintendent, because he or she runs the whole district. And then, I'm happy to bring it to whatever forefront it has to be, because when it's happening to Rachel, it's happening to other kids. When it's happening to Tammy, it's happening to other kids. These things never happen in a vacuum.
What's an inclusion classroom? What is an appropriate ratio for special education and regular education?
So it's sort of like the question, how long is a string? Or how many colors of blue are there? There's just so many different elements to that. So Elena could be teaching a class, and she has 9 kids in there that are special education students for dyslexia. That's probably not that hard for her to handle. If Elena was teaching a class and she had 9 kids in her inclusion class that were high behavioral needs, that's a different classroom setting. So the acuity is based on the individuality of each child. I don't find that there are ratios. I do think that it's either New Jersey or New York. I think Quinn told me one time that does have ratios in their state statutes. Here's the deal. There's no special ed police. They're not pulling up in their minivan. Woo, woo, woo. I mean, there's no special ed police, unfortunately. And so, we hope that it's a ratio that teachers still enjoy teaching and students get a benefit. Thanks, you guys, for all the gifts. I appreciate it. And they're pink and red. Who's mad about that? Nobody.
Yes. And you have several people in the comments who said they love your press conferences and you're changing the world.
Oh, and guess what? Who wants to know where I'm going to the press conference? Raise your hand. There it is. There it is. So, look. I might take one of those bow and arrows to my next press conference. So we will be lighting them up like Christmas Eve, Thursday, October 17th in Denton. I can't believe you did it so bad. ISD in Denton, Texas. That's just north of Dallas. We ain't having it. I ain't having it. And I think I'm going to wear sequin volleyball shorts. Do you think that's too much, you guys, with like cowboy boots? Or maybe I could just stop and get one of those Dallas cowboy outfits and go, we want an IEP. No, is that too much, Elaine? No? Cindy? Yes.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I need.
We're going to bedazzle you.
Bedazzle me.
Yes. The school says, my son needs a triennial, but my son hasn't had any services since his speech path hurt himself 6 months ago.
So a triennial is different than, so I mean, if you haven't had the speech services, reach out to your principal to ask how they're going to be returned. A triennial is when we are required to look and see if we need updated testing from their initial testing. So those are 2 different things. Somebody asked me where I got my blazer from. I think we all know. Let's say it together. Talbots. Yeah, a very long time ago. I think this is like 1,000 years old.
And it wears well.
It wears well. Just like I do on an IEP committee. I wear well.
My district states teachers can't request educational testing. They want interventions first.
Well, they're liars, and they're criminals, and they're hurting children, and they're disgusting. The federal law says 300.111, which is the foundation of child fine, which has been in place for 48 and a half years, that the LEA, the people that work at a school building, are required to identify, locate, and evaluate children with suspected disabilities and test them to see if they may be in need of special education related services. So when I hear that, that makes me want to put a candy bar in their gas tank. And that's not a teacher, that's leadership. And that is the worst kind of leadership.
Absolutely. Do we have any upcoming trainings?
We do. We have a training coming up, which we haven't had one in, I think, like since forever. So Saturday, November 2nd and Sunday, November 3rd, we're having a live 2-day virtual. So we haven't had one in a while. So I know you guys want one. That will be the only one for the rest of this school year. And so November 2nd and 3rd, 9 to 5. And then you'll have the recording afterwards. It's ridiculously amazing and fantastic.
The principal said she did an investigation, but wouldn't give me the report. I did a FERPA complaint, and it wasn't in there.
Yep. So schools sometimes delete things from your request.
Yes. Yes, they do. Can an aide provide all, capital ALL, inclusion services?
No. They can support the special educator to providing those services.
Fantastic. If one of your students you're the case manager for is incarcerated, are you required to service them? He is 19.
The student with the disability is participating in the justice system. Is that what you're indicating? I thought at first you said the teacher.
And he's 19.
I thought you said the teacher was incarcerated. Sorry. So students are allowed to participate in special education between the ages of 3 and 22. I wouldn't know. That would need more parameters around that. But if they're a student that was incarcerated, I mean, I can't imagine a child that would be incarcerated that was participating in the 18 to 21 program, but they could be a senior and be 19. So if they are still school aged and they have an IEP and they are spending this school year incarcerated, then we have an onus to deliver the IEP. Yes.
It would not surprise me if teachers would still want to give accommodations and teach from prison.
Yeah.
Because they're giving their all.
Yes. And they do that. We love teachers.
Okay. What should I expect in a manifestation meeting?
Oof. So an MDR, Manifestation Determination Resolution Meeting. A Manifestation Determination Resolution Meeting. So our meeting is to look at the student's information, their current present levels, their FIEs, their doctor's input to see if the said action that is going to cause a response for disciplinary action, we're considering whether or not that was related and substantially attached to their disability. So let me just give you an example. I had a child who was, the parent called me and they were going to have an MDR and she didn't want him to have to go to out of district placement. And I said, well, what did he do? And she said he made pot brownies. Okay. I said, what is his disability? And she said dyslexia. I don't think that's currently related to dyslexia. She goes, okay, it's fine. His friends are going to. So almost always, we're looking at impulsivity, poor choices, repetitive perseveration, actions, being physical with somebody in the school. A lot of times that is, I had a little boy that 2 adults in Miami trapped him in a stairwell and he was emotionally disturbed and he pushed past them to run past them. And one of them dislocated her shoulder. That was a manifestation of his disability. He's emotionally disturbed that he's done that. He was fleeing. He actually wasn't fighting with them. We don't corner children in stairwells. I don't know who thought that up, but anyway, so we had a manifestation determination resolution meeting, and we did find, in fact, that this was tied to his disability, and so no cause of disciplinary action was required at that time.
What is the Special Education Academy?
So the Special Education Academy, as my great friend Rachel says, is weekly professional development. So we train every Tuesday at 8 p.m. So that you are on top of the things that are up and going on in special education nationally and there's always something going on long before the COVID. And so we train for an hour every Tuesday night and then answer questions. We are in series. Right now we're in a series, Procedural Rights and Protections for Parents and the Child with Disability. And then the antithesis of that, when those are not delivered, how would you file? And then after that, we're about to start a series in a few weeks. The responsibilities, duties, obligations, and limitations of paraprofessionals. So we're excited.
Are you still talking to this?
Am I still talking to people? Yeah, I'm still talking to people. I'm a professional talker. I'm still talking to people.
You're still talking.
And now they're going to be your fans too.
Yeah,
You're talking to the same people.
There's Cindy and Miss Rachel. Can you say hi?
Hey.
Hey. All right.
Hey.
What's the next question for me and Levi? We're here to answer.
The next question is, should a district be reported for allowing an IS to be over caseload without any additional help?
Okay. I don't really want to do that.
Okay. You got to go to bed. I love you.
No, I want
Okay, well, you have to be quiet because these are serious things, sir. They're very serious.
Okay.
So, do they need to be reported? I mean, I would certainly let the state know that they need an audit when you're penalizing teachers and you're penalizing students.
Maybe.
This is what I'd like to do to people at an IEP meeting.
I'm trying to talk.
Okay, but this is very serious. These people are serious. This is like Miss Pino. Do you want me to tell Miss Pino that you were talking?
Oh no, gee. Don't really do that.
Okay. Thank you for having your...
No, I want to see a little bit more.
Okay, say goodbye to Miss Rachel and Miss Cindy.
See a little bit more people.
Okay, we
Bye,
gotta go.
Levi.
Bye. Oh. Okay, come on, Levi, come on. Here he comes. Okay, sorry. He really loves it. That's the way I feel at some IEP meetings. Like, somebody take me out of here. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get that boy some Calgon. Take him away.
Yes.
Poor kid. Okay. Let's see. Ooh. When should speech start if your student has an IEP for it? Oh, nope. I already read
Yeah,
that
so
one.
it should start right at the beginning of school. Not necessarily the first day or the first week, but that's related service providers or they're working. They don't like say, hey, we'll be here mid-football season.
I just had an IEE done. My son's ESR is coming up, and they're refusing to have his psychologist present.
So when you say his psychologist, I'm assuming you're a private psychologist. That's not their decision. If you want to bring everybody from your Sunday school class and everybody you went to high school with to a meeting, you're welcome to do that. Maybe not everyone you went to school with.
Oh. How can an advocate have 2 days of training and it takes teachers 2+ years to learn most of it?
So teachers aren't trained in special education law. They're not trained in special education law. They're trained in the history of special education. But special education law, IDEA, was 315 pages long. Now it's 115 pages long. Every 24 months, your state regulations change. In Texas, our state regulations, the new ones are printed out. They're about 40 pages long. So this is not a history lesson. This is not who's on Mount Rushmore. This is an ever-evolving, changing paradigms, which is regulated by 13 federal entities, including OSERS, OSEP, the Department of Education, and the Office of Civil Rights.
Awesome. Can a school give out ISS, an ISS request the child to stay longer than the normal school day?
What? Like you want to have in-school suspension, but you get to stay later? What are they, mopping?
Yes.
No. What the Hello Kitty are you talking about? No, the instructional day is the instructional day. And so if you give them 3 days of in-school suspension, their school day is the same as it's commensurate with everybody else.
Excellent.
Somebody just asked me if I have a book. Do I have a book coming, Cindy?
Yes.
I
and
do have a...
can't wait.
Yeah, we can't tell you what it is, but we have a book coming in the next few months. It's going to be so good. And it's going to have, wait for it, a workbook. So, look at Rachel's all excited.
Everyone loves a good workbook.
Yeah.
I never want to write in it, though.
Sydney.
I'll get to. Is there a way to not do a triennial and just get him speech services?
You want the triennial. You want the testing to be current. You want that. You want that. We don't want to just assume that he's just speech. I can count on one hand, my advocates, my partners count on one hand a child that's just speech only. That's so rare. I want to answer. So somebody asked me about the book's coming out. The book will be out by the top of the year. Is it the top of the year, the bottom of the year? There will be a workbook, and yes, there will be an audio book, because who wouldn't want to listen to my beautiful voice while you're driving down the freeway, having your beaver nuggets from Buc-ee's, right?
Absolutely.
So unlike Cindy, I get the audio book, the book, and I highlight it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And highlight in yellow, because when you photocopy, it doesn't show up. Okay. Help, I'm a para. I have students who are 3 grade levels behind. What should I do?
So they should have IEPs. If you're 3 grade levels behind, we're not having a meaningful benefit from grade level standards.
Okay, and here's a little clarification. A student 3 grade levels behind, I have no para pushing in. How can I meet their needs?
Do they have IEPs? You would need to have some sort of special education support in the classroom. Somebody asked if I travel or I have advocates in Oklahoma. So we have a team of advocates. We have been advocating nationwide since Friday, March 13th, 2020, when the little pandemic happened. And so I have clients in Miami, Kodiak Islands, New Jersey, and San Diego. And we just do IEPs back to back to back to back to back from sea to shining sea all day long. But I do travel. I will travel for a press conference. I will stand in your easement or sweat in front of your football stadium.
Or even a ditch with the police going by.
The ditch, the police came by twice. They kept going. I was like, you don't want some camera time? They were like, we're good.
My child is in a combined class. Who would do his kindergarten assessment? Would it be the SPED teacher or the general education teacher?
So the evaluation team consists of the general educator and the special educator, but they're usually done by evaluators. So an LSSP, a licensed specialist in school psychology, a psychologist, an LPC, a social worker, a diagnostician, a speech pathologist, a music therapist, and all of the rest. Those persons are hired in the district to do formal testing for special education and related services.
What does, quote unquote, you can do it privately mean?
And I don't know. I would be allergic to that. Yeah.
I'm thinking they're talking about testing, if they can do it privately.
Yeah, so here's the problem with privately. There's no onus for the school to accept it. You could have an evaluation from the Surgeon General that said he had this, that, and the other thing, and they go, we don't care. The school district is charged with doing their own evaluations. When you get an outside evaluation, it's going to be a clinical evaluation or a medical evaluation, and those don't always parlay into an educational need. So I want the diagnostician to do her own evaluation. I want the LSSP to do her evaluation, because sometimes when outside evaluators write an evaluation, it's DSM-5 and this and this and this, and that's not what we use in an educational setting.
Great. Let's see. Students do not qualify for an SLD or an ID, any psych evals or OHI. Qualify for speech only. Can I get an ICS?
In class support? Yeah. So if they have a disability and they need to be supported in the classroom, you can get in-class support. That was a lot of acronyms. I felt like we were at the New York Stock Exchange. Ding, ding, ding.
I signed up for an IEP evaluation 35 days ago. It hasn't happened yet. What do you think I should do?
So you don't sign up for an IEE. You disagree with the school's evaluation in part or whole. You request an IEE at the expense of the district. They grant that. Then they provide you a list of vendors that they work with. It's your job to meet with that vendor, make your child available to that vendor so that they can test them, and then they will write their evaluation after they complete whatever additional steps they need via the school. They will provide that product back to the school district. It's not yours because the school bought it. And then hopefully at some reasonable time after that, they will invite you to the meeting to look at the results, recommendations, and see if there's changes that need to be made for the student.
Oh, look at that. Rachel just sent you a bouquet of roses.
Oh,
12 of them.
Thank you.
Showing the love. What is the next step after going to the district about having not enough para support?
So that's a staffing issue. And nobody likes me to say it, so guess what? I'm going to say it. There's plenty of money in education. There's plenty of money in education. There are countless dollars left on the table every year in grant money. Our state, Texas, which usually ranks last in America, we usually rank 50th in special education delivery services out of 50. We don't do a very good job in Texas for all kids with disabilities. But this year when they finished their legislative session, they had an $80 million surplus. So this ain't a money issue. This is an appropriation of funds with equity so that all children have equal access. And I have no tolerance for there aren't teachers to hire. There are teachers to hire, but we need to make the work environment enjoyable. We need to support them and make them feel successful, just as we would any other staff member. And we've always had a shortage of special educators, and we've always had schools staffing their rooms at the end.
One of my favorite topics. If the child can't read and is in the 2nd grade, can they refuse to offer assistive technology?
What? Assistive technology is a requirement that we address in every IEP meeting. I would be concerned when they're refusing something when it could build a bridge over the student's barrier to access. Don't bust up my barrier, people.
Can you explain? There's a lot of controversy over IEP, Individual Education Plan or Individual Education Program.
Well, the federal law says program. But if you want to say plan, pod, pouch, papow, I don't really care. It's an individualized education for Bob. But the federal law says program. But if you want to argue about it, I'm here for it. Let's have a vote. Okay. And the vote, we voted, it was program.
Oh, the people voted and they love Levi.
Oh, good. I love Levi. He's fantastic for my high pain tolerance. He's gonna be a great advocate one day. He already is.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yes. The teacher is not giving accommodation to my student. Who holds the teacher accountable?
Parents. So an accommodation is a civil right. So nobody in America has the right to deny civil rights from individuals with disability or marginalized populations. And that's been in place since the Rehabilitation Act of 1973.
What happens after TikTok?
Well, I put on more lipstick. I think we know that. And then we have the Academy at 8 p.m. Central. So we hope you guys jump on and help us slay special ed together.
How do you jump on?
With the pogo stick. So you would go to specialeducationacademy.com, and then we have training, and you could sign up for Special Education Academy. We have over 250 hours archived in series of all the trainings we've done in the last 3.5 years. So it's amazing. Angelique! Hey, sweetie! How is Malachi? He's good. He's good. He's good.
Are you doing another live training?
I'm doing a live virtual November 2nd and 3rd. I'm doing a live virtual November 2nd and 3rd.
Let's see. Ooh. Lost my place. Hang on one second.
Cindy's talking to herself. It comes with parenting.
Doesn't it just? Can the school demand a diagnosis for a 504?
There's no demanding. This is not a hostage situation. So we need to have an identified disability. So when somebody demands something, I would say it makes me very uncomfortable that you are denying me meaningful participation. The law says an identified disability. It doesn't say it has to be by a doctor. Certainly that would be great. But you know, this demanding thing and running parents around town is redonkulous. It's redonkulous. I have kids that have ADHD, anxiety, bipolar, and they're like, they can't have a 504. So I think some people in schools are a little power hungry. They're used to bossing other people in school around, and they boss parents around. It's just egregious, which is a big fancy word for ugh. Yeah. How do you spell that? Ugh. Is that how you spell it? Ugh.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Our SPED director is being told they can't do IEPs without an outside consultant coming in. Is that legal?
It's against the law, which is illegal. So it's either the law or it's illegal. So child fine. Lean in. Are you listening? Are y'all listening? 300.111. The LEA is required to actually go out and look for. Have you seen people in your neighborhood? Anybody struggling to read? You gotta have a behavior problem? They're actually required to go out in the community and find children, identify, locate, and then evaluate them who may be in need of special education related services. I've been in this game for 3 decades. I've never seen anybody in my community looking for children with special education needs. So no, there's no caveat to 300.111. You are in violation of federal law and you've been a witness to a crime.
Twins receive support for assignments in class, but the assignments come home not completed. Suggestions?
So I don't do your job. So if you want them to complete the work in school, provide a way that it's palatable for them and they can complete it. If there's homework that you're assigning to students, we're happy to do that. But don't send home work that you want the parent to do and then you're going to complain that the parent did it or that the student didn't finish it. There's no teacher in my house, which is why I send my kids to amazing educators all day long, because I'm not an educator. So, but sending homework home, there's no data, by the way, there's no academia anywhere that supports that minors have any benefit to doing homework at home. It doesn't exist. Now, adults who have a mortgage drink a pot of coffee at night because they have to get things done. But little tiny humans, minors, they went to school all day long. So we should get that done for them during the day, especially children with disabilities.
Why would the school district not want to do a 3-year re-eval? They said not much has changed.
Cha-ching. Tell me it's not about money. Tell me it's not about money, and we'll have a conversation around that. It's not because it's not what the child needs. Would you go to your pediatrician and they go, don't come back in 3 years, everything's fine? No, you're developing, you're turning into an adult. Of course we need new evaluations. We don't need every single evaluation done every single time, but we do more evaluations on the volleyball team in some schools than we do for kids with disabilities.
Yes. Does the OCR care more if a parent or an educator makes a referral?
So they're not referrals, they're complaints. I don't know about care. I find that people that work at the OCR are angels from heaven. They really are civil rights minded. When you file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights, it goes to a federal attorney. And so the biggest error that I see that parents, passionate parents and educators and all sorts of people make is that they file a passionate complaint about their experience, which has nothing to do with the law, and almost always they're kicked out. So on Special Education Academy, we have a 5.5-hour training, how to file effective Office of Civil Rights complaints. I probably have 100 civil rights complaints open at any time. I'm very thankful for that entity, and will always be thankful for them.
We have someone who is confused. They want to become an advocate. They're not sure if they should do the academy or training. Where do they start first?
I mean, either way to start is fine. The intensive is just that. You can ask anybody that's taken it. At noon the first day, you're like, ow, 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 ow. And 3/4 of people that take our trainings are teachers. They're school-based members, right? And so they want that because that kind of training is not provided in school. And so being an educator and knowing special education law are two different things. And they should be, right? Just like I don't need to be a teacher to be a special educator, to be a special education advocate. So certainly as quickly as you can get to the 2-day intensive, it's going to give you a phenomenal foundation that you didn't have. And of course, the weekly academy, I need it, you need it, Everybody needs it. And so, because things are always moving and changing at the federal level, the ADA regulations that this administration brought about changes, and now we have states that are suing that administration back. We talk about real things at the federal and state level that you're not going to have in your professional development. You're just not.
Can you explain exactly what the least restrictive environment means?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what it means. That we have an obligation, a duty, and onus, and responsibility to educate students with disabilities to the maximum extent possible with their non-disabled peers. Notice I didn't say anything about general education. So LER is a consideration. It's not a location. So we look at the least restrictive environment and consider those components so that we can properly populate the schedule of services page.
Oh, here's one about the STAR, one of your favorite things.
Ugh.
I want more inclusion for regular class for my son, but I always get pushback because of the STAR.
Yeah, I don't, like, is it the Evening Star? Is it Star of Bethlehem? I don't care about state tests. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if you care. I don't care. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what my state tests were in 1984. Nobody's going to ask you as an adult what were your state tests. Nobody cares. Literally, except for the people that made that machine. A state test is what? It is literally a snapshot in time. So allegedly, I was book smart in school. Terrible test taker, right? But top of my class. There are kids that have a low to a very low IQ and do really good on standardized tests. What really matters? What happens day in and day out, day in and day out? What are his real levels? What are his real needs? What are his real deficits? So the state test is not a determinant for placement, and there's nowhere in the federal law that even talks about the stupid, stinking, state test. It doesn't exist in IDEA. So I don't imagine it has much weight in those decisions. Did I say stupid? Yeah. Sorry.
No, didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Do you work with military families? We move every few years.
Yeah, I love military families. We have tons of military bases here in Texas. Thank you for your service and your family's service. Absolutely. We work with every kind of family that you can think of. Every kind of family setup, surrogate parents, adoptive parents, foster parents, parents that we work with a lot of parents that, this is a very nomadic city institute we live in, right? And so we have families that go to Japan for 2 years. Well, we still have special ed over there. It's very different than here based upon whatever, business track they're in. So we work with every kind of family that you can think of. As long as your kid's in a public school, we can properly serve them and get them a robust IEP so they can make meaningful progress and have successful student outcomes.
Here's one of my favorite questions. I'm a general education teacher, but I also want to be an advocate. Can I do both?
Yes. Yeah. But not at the same time. Yes, you can do both, but not at the same time. So at one point you gotta figure out where's your new heart. So there's nothing that makes me more excited than training an educator, because they already have such a great foundation, and then we refine that for them so that they are super effective serving families with kids with disabilities.
What is the price for the virtual live? How do I find this out?
It'll be on specialeducationacademy.com.
Awesome. Are accommodations intended to raise the students' grades?
No. Nothing's intended to raise a student's grade. An IEP is not intended to raise a student's grade. That's... And I don't care about grades. Sorry, I don't. So 100 years ago when I went to school in a covered wagon, when we got a C, guess what we took home on our report card? A C. But we hammer teachers now and demand that all of those kids get good grades, and we retest and retest and retest. I find most grades are a fraudulent reflection of the student's abilities.
My daughter goes to ABA half of the day, and the school is giving me a hard time. What do you think about that?
So I think I understand your need to pursue ABA for your daughter, and I certainly understand the requirement for state education entities to follow their statutes, and their statutes are they are responsible for children being in an instructional day. And so if you were my client, and I would say that you should choose one. Why would I say that? One, you have no legal protections under IDEA for free appropriate public education because the student's not there all day. And 2, ABA couldn't be more different than public school. They're just 2 totally different things. And they're great. They're both great for different things. But if you were my client and you thought that ABA was beneficial for your baby right now, then do that. But that is not what we do in public school. So for me, it would be very conflicting. It would be like teaching a child English for 4 hours and then teaching them Mandarin for 4 hours.
A school denied testing for dyslexia for my first grader and now again in second grade. What can I do?
I would ask for that denial in a prior written notice by close of business. And then you would know what your next steps were. So on specialeducationacademy.com, we have a robust training for how to file a state complaint and a robust training for how to file a federal complaint.
Jessica says, I love your content. You changed my life and my son's, of course.
Oh, thank you, Jessica. We appreciate you.
My nephew has seizures. Should we request a para?
So a para is support a student to have access to the curriculum, right? So a seizure, I don't know what a para would do about the seizure. We certainly want to train the staff members that teach him during the instructional day, what that onset looks like, how we respond when there is a seizure. Does he have an IHP, an individualized healthcare plan? What are our action steps depending on how long the seizure is? But I wouldn't assign a student, a para to a student because they have seizures.
Understood. Should ED-P be on a comprehensive high school campus? Doesn't the P mean private placement? Would you like me to read it again?
No, I know all that.
Okay.
So I would love to tell you there's every program at every campus. There's not, right? There's not an 18 to 21 program at every high school campus, right? You have to realize the severity of a disability also makes it an LID, a low incident disability. So we have to serve any type of disability, but we don't have a duty to serve it at every campus, everywhere, at every high school.
My student needs to be re-evaluated before the 3 years or more services, but the case manager says absolutely not. What should I do?
So are you a teacher or are you the parent? Because I'm allergic to absolutely, and I'm certainly allergic to not. So a lot of things we're going to do, not one of them. So we're going to do what we're charged to do by federal and state law. And those are both federal and state laws, period. I think somebody said teacher. Oh, so if it's a teacher, that's when you just drop one of those Snickers in their gas tank. I'm just kidding. Of course I'm kidding. Just leave a Lego when she's walking at night. I just don't know how we're so comfortable robbing children. And that's what it is. You're literally robbing children. And that action can cause a child to not ever be employed, be able to live on their own, or be successful in life. So I can't think of anything more selfish and harmful to kids.
This is the best laugh I have had, and it's from Susie. She said, for a split second, I thought you were Sally Jesse Raphael.
I wish. Sally Jesse Raphael had much smaller hips than I did, and she was crushing that red molecule. I have been killing the red molecule in my hair since 1981. But thanks.
That's awesome. School says not enough staff for child to be in SPED and resource room all day.
That sounds like an illegal problem. Certainly, please don't discuss that with myself or my client. You have a duty, an onus, an obligation to educate individual with disabilities. I have kids who are in private placement at $80,000 a year per school district. So it's never been about money. It will never be about money, but it's often about the story they're telling you. And I have superintendents, I have special education directors. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. If you knew how much money there was in districts and how it's actually spent, it's not about the money. We don't care that much often about kids with disabilities. And I'm here to say it in case nobody else will say it. The reason there's a special education law is because we can follow the special education rules. See, we don't need a law if we can follow the rules. So I don't see school districts running low on coaches, and I love coaches. All 3 of my kids played sports. I don't see schools running low on AP teachers. I don't see schools running low on principals. So we have the money. We have to figure out a way to make it equitable for every child that attends public school. And until we do, we won't stop having this conversation with me.
Awesome. Well, it's 8:30. What happens in 30 minutes, boss?
Well, it's 8:30 on another coastal area, ma'am.
Correct.
Yeah. So in 30 minutes, at 8 p.m. Central, you guys jump on the Academy. It's going to be fun, fantabulous, and even more exciting than this, if you can even imagine that. So thanks, you guys. If you need something, let us know. If you need representation, a records review, or filing, let us know. We have a whole team that does that. Our email is advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. And remember, when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. We'll see you guys in the next training.